May I please call the lady up and welcome state in this matter?
Thank you, Ms. Galloway.
May it please the court, my lady, I appear on behalf of the accused, instructed by Mr. Ben Mathewson of Mathewson V.S. Attorneys.
Thank you, Mr. Webster. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure you all know that I'm Judge Stein, who will be conducting this matter. There are just a couple of aspects that I wish to clear up with you. First of all, I was asked to request you all to please not have your cell phones on. Not on even though you don't use them, because they tell me that the cell phone signals interfere with the recording of the case. So please do not put your cell phones on. Definitely don't let the cell phones go off. It is very disruptive. As regards the press is concerned, you will see that the permission has been granted as regards photographs, that the photography is only allowed while the court is not in session. The reason being that it becomes very disruptive. There are details in the permission granted relating to how the photography and filming is to be conducted, and there is a special paragraph that the audio recordings or close-up photography of communications between legal representatives or between clients and their legal representatives or the state's representatives and witnesses, and when the court is in session or not in session, is absolutely barred. I wish you will adhere to these requests. Thank you.
May I please call the lady? We are ready to put the charges to the accused. May I continue? The state alleges that the accused is guilty of the crimes of 1, murder, 2, defeating or obstructing the administration of justice. In that during 22 February 2018 and at or near 22 Riesling Road, Constantia, in the district of Wynberg, the accused unlawfully and wrongfully, count 1, killed Gill Packham, an adult female person, by hitting her with a blunt object unknown to the state and or inflicting violence in the forms of which is unknown to the state. And further, that the provisions of Act 105 of 1997 are applicable, in that this crime is mentioned in Part 2 of Schedule 2 of the said Act, in that it was committed in circumstances other than those referred to in Part 1, and the following minimum sentences are thus applicable. A first offender to imprisonment for a period of not less than 15 years, a second offender of any such offence to imprisonment for a period not less than 20 years, a third or subsequent offender of any such offence to imprisonment for a period not less than 25 years. And further, that the inherent jurisdiction of the High Court is such that imprisonment for life may be imposed in terms of Section 276, subsection 1b of Act 51 of 1977. And further, that the state will request the court to impose life imprisonment in terms of its inherent jurisdiction. Count 2, on the same date and place, that the accused unlawfully with the intent to defeat or obstruct the course of justice committed an act or acts to wit, setting alight a BMW-motor vehicle with registration number CA904530 with the body of the deceased in the boot thereof, and or tampering with the crime scene, and or supplying false information to the police in order to mislead the police as to the true identity of the perpetrator, which act or acts defeated or obstructed the administration of justice. The penalty clause, in terms of the provisions of Section 276 of Act 51 of 1977, it is in the discretion of the court. Those are the charges, my lady.
Thank you very much. How do you plead to these charges, Mr. Packham?
Not guilty, my lady.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Is the plea in accordance with your instructions?
Thank you, my lady. I confirm that the plea is in accordance with the accused's instructions to me. The accused denies the allegations in the indictment on both counts, and the state has put to the proof thereof. The accused has nothing further to add by way of a plea explanation, my lady. It is intended to make significant admissions in terms of Section 220 to curtail the proceedings.
Is it correct, Mr. Packham, that you are aware of the Minimum Sentencing Act applicability?
Yes, my lady.
That it has been explained to you?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You may sit down.
Lady has been alluded to by counsel for defence. An exhibit file has been prepared, including written admissions in terms of Section 220 of the Criminal Procedure Act, with then the number of exhibits attached thereto, the lady. Begins at Exhibit A and continues until Exhibit K.
Thank you very much. That is in order, Mr. Webster.
Thank you, my lady. There are certain aspects. The document has been changed. There have been certain minor amendments. If I may allude to those amendments. Or does your ladyship wish me to place the entire document on record and read it into the record?
What do you suggest?
I'm happy to refer to the amendments that we've made or the changes that have been made to the document before you.
Yes, we can do that.
Your ladyship will notice that paragraph 15.4 has been deleted, and that's reference to certain photographs. So Exhibit G for the moment will fall by the wayside in terms of this listing. In terms of paragraph 15.5, lady, there are a number of photographs taken by the state depicting certain scenes. This is admitted as being what it purports to be on the basis that these pointing outs are as alleged by the state. It's not admitted if the witness, for example, says in this position the suspect or accused was seen in a motor car. It's as alleged by the prosecution. My lady, the document was signed by the accused today, and he confirms the contents of the admissions. He has been taken through them in detail.
Is it correct, Mr. Packham, that you are aware of the provisions in these documents and you signed it today?
I am,
That
my
you're
lady.
satisfied that these documents are properly before the court?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Lady, there's one further exhibit, and that is a set of photographs. A set of photographs prepared by the defense of the house at 22 Reasoning Street in Constantia, and the state is prepared to formally admit that these photos are what they purport to be, and they were taken on the 14th of January 2019. And there's a bundle of photographs that have been handed to your ladyship, which would then be marked Exhibit L.
I confirm that the photographs have been shown to the state, and we confirm that they are what they purport to be.
Thank you. Ms. Galloway, are you ready to proceed?
As it is put, Lady, the statement calls Bernice Moore. The witness is not on the list of witnesses, Lady, but she will be testifying in English.
Please state your full names for the record.
Bernice Moore.
You swear that the evidence you will be giving in this court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please raise your right hand and say so help you God.
Ms. Moore, for the record, do you know the deceased or the accused in this matter before court?
I do.
How do you know them?
Work colleague. Gill Packham was my work colleague.
So the deceased was your colleague.
The deceased is my colleague.
And where did you two work together?
At Springfield Convent School.
The 2nd of February 2018. Was the deceased at work that day?
No, she didn't finish.
Can you take the courts to work?
The deceased didn't arrive at our starting time, which was 7:30, and I became a bit. Well, they contacted the deceased to check whether she was okay or whether she was running late. I didn't get any response to the WhatsApp group that we were on. At about 8:20 that morning, which was very late for arrival, I decided to call her on the cell phone, but there was no answer. And then again about 8:10, that's when we, sorry.
Maybe I can in the meantime ask you, you mentioned something about a WhatsApp group. What group is that?
We 3 colleagues, 3 secretaries, including the deceased. We were 3 colleagues that was in a group together, just in case we ran late, to notify each other of the time that we were going to arrive. And it was just a group between the three of us.
And you mentioned also that you did consider 20 to 8 in the morning quite late. Late for who?
Late for the arrival to work.
So you then decided to contact the deceased.
Yes, I did.
So on from there.
At 10 to 8, every day the bell goes, so that means school then starts, and the deceased was still not at school, which was very peculiar, and we decided to call her again. Both her cell phone and her home numbers we tried, and there was no answer. I tried, and there was no answer.
Why did you consider it peculiar for her to not be at school by 10 to 8?
Because it was very late now, and we couldn't get hold of her. There was just no answer on the cell phone.
Yes? What did you do after you couldn't get hold of her?
And we then left it at that till about 8:15. When she didn't arrive at 8:15, we then reported this to management because they were in a meeting at the time. They then decided at about 8:30 that morning that we'll send someone out to go and check at Gill's residence to see if everything was okay, which we did.
Yes, what happened after that?
And we then sent our estate manager out to go and check at the property, at her residence address. When he got there was nobody home. He came back to say that there was nobody at the residence. Everything was locked, and there was an alarm light that was on, so that means nobody was home. He checked over the wall, made a warning just to check to see if he could see anything. There was a dog in the garden, roaming the garden, and that was about it. And then he came back to school to tell us that there was no response at the residence.
What did you do then?
And when he arrived just before 9 o'clock to tell us this, I then decided to call Rob Packham. We had details for him, just a cell number though, not a work number, that Gill has filled out a form, an emergency contact numbers form that we had on file that we could call, and we called Rob Packham's number then, and there was no answer. And I decided to then call his work number. When I phoned his work at about 9:05 that was, he wasn't in yet. I was told that he wasn't in yet.
You mentioned that you phoned his cell number, the accused cell number, and there was no answer. Was that a question of the phone just ringing, or was there voicemail available? What was your options when you phoned them?
There were times when the phone just went straight to voicemail, and there were times it just rang and rang.
So how many times did you try to call him?
Sure. Called him several times that morning.
So you are now at the stage where you said you contacted his work and you were informed that he was not in yet.
Correct.
What did you do after that?
I then decided to phone his daughter because I knew she was in Johannesburg, and that's why we didn't want to alarm them. So I had no option but to phone his daughter Nicola, who was in Johannesburg. We only knew that because the deceased had told us that. Phoned Nicola just after I tried her dad, and she was going to try and get hold of them and get back to me.
From that I presume that you did manage to get hold of Nicola.
I did get hold of Nicola, yes.
And after that, what did you do?
After that, we had we still didn't have any contact with them. They didn't get back to us. We continued to phone her number several times after that, and the phone was still off.
Let me just...
The deceased?
The deceased
Yes.
phone.
Yes.
So the phone was still off. When did you realize that the phone was off?
Well, the phone was off from the time I phoned her at 7:30 in the morning.
from the beginning.
Yes, from the beginning. So I just continue to try that number in case I got through.
And okay, you've now spoken with Nicola and had contact with her. Did you speak to the accused at all that day? Or not?
I did speak to the accused, but only later that day, at about just after 10:30.
Tell the court about that. How did that happen and what happened during your conversation with him?
I called the accused just after 10:30, so at about 11:15. And at that stage, when I called him, he was actually at the school, on the school premises. He was coming up the stairs to the offices that we work at. He then said to me that he's just coming up to the office now, just to come and see who he's talking to at the other side of the line.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last bit.
He then said to me that he was on the school premises coming up to my office and he wanted to know who he was talking to on the other side of the line.
At that point in time, Ms. Moore, did you know the accused personally?
I didn't, no.
When he actually arrived at the offices, can you tell the court what happened then?
When he arrived at the offices, I knew it was him because I've noticed his company name on his shirt that he was wearing, that I Googled. And when he came up the stairs, I knew it was him because of the company name. It was obvious. And obviously I was expecting him coming up the stairs because he told me he was coming up the stairs.
And what happened when he came into the office? Did you speak to him?
We did speak to him, yes. When he came into the office, he walked straight to the window where I was sitting. I didn't get up. My other colleague got up to introduce herself, and we then had a conversation about the deceased's whereabouts, where she could have been. We didn't know much, but what we did know is that she owned 2 flats in Claremont, or she ran an Airbnb, I don't know what it was. And all we asked him was, has he checked the flats? And he said, no, she's the only one with keys to that flat, so he hasn't been there to check whether she was there.
So am I correct to say that you at that point in time you were discussing possible other locations where the deceased could be or one could go looking for her? Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. He did mention that he was going to go take a drive to the beach, her favorite beach or their favorite beach. We're going to check if she is in that vicinity. Yeah.
Which beach was that?
I think it was Clovelly or Port Bay, that way. Thanks, Bay.
What route did the deceased take? Do you know where the deceased lived, her physical house?
Yes, I do.
How far is that from the school where you both work?
I'd say about 3 or 4 kilometers from school.
What route did the deceased take from home to school?
We took the same route to school, which is not a roundabout route, but a back route, which is a lot of side roads, but it's a quicker route to skip traffic. And both the deceased and I used that same route because I told her about the route because it was the first time coming that way, traveling that way. So we often pass each other on the route. And that morning, when she didn't pitch, I sort of had a feeling that she didn't take that route because I would have seen her if she had broken down or if anything happened on the route.
So I presume from your answer, that morning when you drove from home to work, you did not see the deceased?
I didn't see her on the route.
You mentioned that when the accused was at the school in your offices, you didn't get up to meet him, but your colleague did. Why didn't you get up as if he was speaking to you on the phone and you knew it was him who entered the office?
Just his comment on the phone to me, telling me that he just wants to see who's on the other side of the line, who he's talking to on the other side of the line. A bit of a funny feeling. I don't know what it was, but yeah, that's, I don't know, it scared me, or I don't know how, but I just got a bad feeling when he said that. And when he came in at the door, he looked like a man that was, his eyes were big in his head, and at that stage I can't say it was a worry. I thought he was just frazzled because of the events. Yeah, so that was a bit off-putting to me.
You discussed possible locations where the deceased could have gone to, or where one could go looking for. Is there any other discussion between yourself, your colleagues, and the accused when he was at the school?
Yes, we, besides speaking about the possible places he could have gone to look, we wanted to call management to come and meet him and speak to him, because they were not available at that stage, but behind closed doors. He refused for us to call them. He didn't want to speak to anybody. He said it was fine. That was it. He left after that.
Thank you, Nadia. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Oversley.
Thank you, my lady. Your impression, Ms. Moore, when he arrived at the school was that he was looking for his wife, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And he seemed to be worried.
Correct.
He was wearing, at the time, a white cotton long-sleeve shirt with the company name Twizzer that appeared on the chest area, is that right?
It could have been short-sleeve shirt, which was the name?
Twizzer, T-W-I-Z-Z-A.
Not T-W-I-Z-Z-E-R, I think it is.
A.
Is it A?
That's what he was wearing. I'm putting to you. He was wearing a long-sleeve white shirt with that name across the chest. Do you accept that?
Yes, I do.
And dark trousers, dark chinos, black chinos.
Black.
I take an instruction, lady. Ms. Moore, I understand from the accused that he met with the deputy head in the passage, and the deputy head was as concerned as he was about the whereabouts of the deceased. Is that correct?
I don't remember, because the deputy head didn't come to us to say that he's met with him in the passage.
Yes. But he says it happened. You can't dispute that.
No, I don't know about that. I'm not aware that he actually met with the deputy head in the passage.
You're not aware of it?
It would have been down the stairs going down, but not that I'm aware of.
So it isn't correct to suggest that he refused to speak to anybody, to speak to management.
No, he didn't want to speak to management.
He didn't want to.
He refused, yeah.
Did he say so in terms?
Yeah, he did. He said, no, don't bother them. I'm okay. And then he left.
So if he was there to look for the deceased who was missing and he appeared to be worried, why did you get a bad feeling? I'm just trying to understand your evidence about you having a funny feeling? What is that based on?
That's based on him telling me that I'm coming up your stairs and I just want to see who I'm speaking to on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything else. And that, I don't know, that just gave me a funny feeling. I don't know.
What? Why? Doesn't work.
Because why would you want to come and see who he's speaking to on the other side of the line? He knows that he's speaking to me because he's been told about me. I don't know.
But he was starting the process, or he was involved in the process of looking for his wife, who was missing. Not so.
Correct, yes.
Nothing peculiar about that in circumstances where she couldn't be found and wasn't answering her phone. Not so.
Correct.
I take an instruction, my lady. Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much. Any
No regrets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may be excused.
Elaine, I know we were a bit short on the start already, but my next witness is only available after the stand down and after. The reason